Good afternoon, everybody in the East Coast. Good morning to folks joining us from the West Coast, and good evening for anybody joining us from Europe or other areas. We're going to get started here in a minute. What you've joined here today is a telemedicine overview with Vuzix and our partner Librestream. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a quick overview of both companies, the offering. Then we're going to do a live demo showing the solution led by the Librestream team. And then we're going to open it up for Q&A. If this is your first session, you might notice there's a little button for Q&A. There's a place for you to enter questions into text, and we'll take a look at those, and we'll do our best to answer those after the presentations and the live demo. So I'm Matt Margolis. I'm in charge of the Vuzix business development. We have some folks with us, Ed McGregor, who's in charge of our investor relations, Sam, one of our sales engineers. Tim, you want to introduce the Librestream team real quick, and then we'll head into my presentation?
Absolutely. So this is Tim Herder. I'm a VP of Business Development at Librestream, and I'll be guiding you through a presentation about our company and about the solution, as well as doing a demo jointly with Rob Anderson, a senior sales engineer who's joining us on the call, Charlie Nigoy, who's also a VP of Business Development at Librestream, and Marika Whitkamp, who is a VP of Marketing for Librestream.
Awesome. Thanks, Tim. So just a quick overview of Vuzix. Some of you may know us, some of you may not, but we got our beginnings really in the near-eye display market. We used to do a lot of work with the U.S. military supplying thermal weapon sight engines. In about 2014, we introduced our first pair of smart glasses, and we're really on about our third generation. We've learned a lot from the market. We produce lightweight, durable, just great smart glass devices for the market. We have offices in the US, Canada, UK, and Japan. We're a public company. Intel is our largest shareholder. If you look at the bottom right of your screen, that's our headquarters in Rochester, New York. It's about a 40,000 square foot facility, and that hosts our manufacturing, our engineering team, accounting, really our our main operations, shipping, receiving, all that's done in Rochester. And today, the M400 glasses you're seeing today being demoed, those are actually manufactured in the US. We do get some parts from the Asia Pacific area and China, but we're doing all of that manufacturing and final assembly in the US. So our footprint's really an enterprise today. If you look at the Fortune 100, we have 40 plus of the Fortune 100 companies are using our glasses in some way, shape, or form. Some are just getting started. Others are planning to roll out with us. It's exciting. If you look at our market, who we support, we have over 200 value-added resellers. Some of these are folks like Librestream that build an excellent software offering, and they're bundling it with our glasses and selling it as a solution. Others could be folks like a Deloitte or Accenture. Maybe they say, hey, I'd like to use Vuzix glasses, Librestream software, and I'm gonna be the project manager, and I'm gonna bring the solution to market together. And if you look at our customer base, it's several thousand customers. These are small companies, large companies. What's great is our solutions can scale. And who do we support? It's really about the connected worker and smart glasses. And today we're going to focus on telemedicine with Librestream, which is in the bottom left. And I think this is definitely an emerging area. I think there's a lot of opportunity here to assist hospitals and healthcare providers and really anybody that's dealing with patients or folks in aging homes. What's really nice about the Librestream solution, they can really support all four of these boxes. The need to connect folks, whether you're in warehouse and logistics, you're having trouble with equipment, to be able to get a call in, auto answer, and provide that information and remote expert and mentoring on their side. It's really critical. So Librestream supports Vuzix in all four of these areas. It's a great solution. It's great for training, remote support, all of that type of stuff. And then as far as Vuzix goes, we have a number of products. From left to right, it's our Vuzix M4000. That'll be out later this year. It's an optically see-through version. It's great because you can stay engaged with the world in front of you, still get the information and the critical update on the glasses. From left to right, the next one is the M400. That's our current workhorse in enterprise. And I'll get into the specs in a little bit. We have our Vuzix Blade as well. It's good for security, first responders. It's a prosumer device. And then we provide OEM solutions. So if you want to take a helmet or anything, you want to build it into a smart solution, Vuzix has the expertise to do the design, development, and manufacturing of that product. So here's the Vuzix M400. This got introduced in September. The response from our customers has been tremendous. Some people are saying this is the device that they've been waiting for in enterprise. It's actually IP67. A few weeks ago, we put it underwater during a call. It didn't drop the connection. It still kept running. The video looked great. With IP67, it's also kind of dust proof. It can be drop tested to 2 meters on concrete. Currently running Android 8.1, and we have a path up to Android 10. Also, I would say that the Qualcomm chipset that's in here, the XR1, it's a longevity platform from Qualcomm, which means it's going to be supported for years to come. And what's nice about the Vuzix M400 is the OLED display. The contrast ratio because of the color, especially in the medical field. If you're going to see a little bit here, the quality of the Librestream software, but the OLED display is really critical to get that key information, the color, the finite details that are super important, especially in telemedicine. And then the camera on the M400 is a 13 megapixel image stabilized, phase detect, autofocus. It's just really great device. What's great too, we come with a variety of mounting options. So if you have prescription glasses, we work around those. If you have a hard hat, we can fit there. Safety glasses, we have frames that will support those. You can mount. The headband, this is a powerful solution for telemedicine or just folks that want to wear it for a long time. Left or right eye, we have a solution for you. We also support hats, visors, bump caps, really any variety of configuration that you need. We have great support there. And then if you look at the products, we offer kind of different price points. So some of these are based on, I would say a little bit based on performance and the chipset, but we have a variety of options that could work for your enterprise. And then the other thing too, I think if you look at, one thing is you run the device, you need the high quality video. What do you have for mounting options? So we have an on-frame IP67 battery. It's 2 hours of runtime. We have an extended life, again, mountable on our existing frames. That gives you kind of a 5-hour runtime. And then we have a kind of an all-day 8-hour plus option as well. This can be belt mounted. It could be put in the pocket. It could be mounted to some sort of headgear as well. And my favorite option, I think, is the M400 starter kit. This gives you the glasses, the frameless for if you wear glasses, the headband, the safety glasses, clips of frames, the power bank, the hat. This is kind of our best getting started kit. What's great, it gives you an option for different ways you want to wear the device, different configurations, and it's really just the best option there. So Tim, you know what, Tim, I'm gonna pass the baton to you. I'm gonna stop sharing, and I'll let you do an overview of our exciting telemedicine offering here, and then let's get into the demo and the Q&A.
Excellent. Thanks, Matt. Thanks everybody for joining, and thanks for that great introduction. So as I said before, my name is Tim Harrider. I'm a VP at Librestream, and I'm going to take you through a short presentation about Librestream and the solution, and then we're going to do a demo of the actual solution running in a simulation. So Librestream was founded in 2003, and we're really the pioneers in the remote expert field. At the time, there were really no ubiquitous devices available. So Librestream created a hardware device running CE that was a high-resolution display and camera, running our On-Site Connect product, which is the remote expert component of our platform. And we did that in cooperation in conjunction with companies like Boeing and Baker Hughes. And that's very important because our heritage is really around super robust solutions for field workers in challenging environments where you may not have very good bandwidth and where security is a huge concern. That's really what this entire platform is built around. And because of that, and because we focus specifically on the field worker and enabling them to do their job efficiently and safely, you'll find that our feature set is very specific to those types of tasks and very well suited for that. As we grew as a company, devices like the iPad and Android tablets and phones and wearables such as the Vuzix M400 have become available. And so we've really shifted from a hardware company over to being a software as a services company, where our platform is available as a cloud service, also on premises. And that includes the remote expert capability, the digital work instructions, as well as a knowledge base that helps you to collect and audit information about the jobs that you're doing. As we move forward into the future, we're really all about the vision for the AI connected expert. And what we mean by that is that with all of the technology and capability around cognitive services, computer vision, machine learning, IoT data, we're getting to a point where we can deliver all of that stuff, all of that information, all of those insights to the field worker, and the field worker may never need to actually call a remote human expert. Now, that's certainly not the typical case at this point, but we're moving farther and farther towards that reality, and Librestream is a leader in that area. Over the last month and a half, we've really experienced incredible growth due to this COVID crisis. The usage has gone up by almost 500% in that time. And it's really because we've got existing companies that are using our technology already and they're using it more. And we've also got companies who are buying more software licenses because travel restrictions are in place and safety is a much greater concern. So the growth is exploding, and that's leading to a call really about every 3 seconds across the globe. Now, when it comes to telehealth, we're in a unique position here to really help and facilitate frontline workers to get their jobs done and remain safe. And that's because of the specific feature sets in the remote expert capability of OnSite and the privacy, the security controls that comply with HIPAA regulations, the ability to share live video and pictures and telestrate and collaborate through audio and video, and also to do multi-party calls where maybe you are talking from doctor to frontline worker within the facility, but you want to dial in somebody who's an expert who's halfway around the world to get their consultation. You can absolutely do that with the software. And they don't have to be on your company's domain or have an account with your company. They can be totally ad hoc. You send a text or an email, and they simply join the call. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the primary use cases now around these telehealth scenarios. The first one is simply the frontline worker bedside who's trying to provide patient care and needs some guidance or assistance or even just monitoring of what they're doing. And in that case, a remote expert, either in the facility or outside, calls in to the Vuzix 400 that the frontline worker is wearing. The call gets connected automatically, starts streaming video, and they can immediately, collaborate with one another. The remote expert then, if they need to call in other people to consult, can easily do that ad hoc or in a scheduled way. And then at the end of the procedure, the frontline worker with the Vuzix and other equipment can return that back to the nursing station or other area at the end of their shift, or if they need to swap that equipment with somebody else. And that really leads us to our second use case, which is around supervision and guidance when putting on and taking off personal protective equipment. You probably know that right now it's such a challenge to get this equipment, and so people are mixing and matching various types of protective equipment, and there's no standard set of equipment people are using. That means that supervising and training people on putting this stuff on correctly and more importantly, cleaning it properly afterwards is really critical. Not to mention that a lot of these people are new and less experienced because they're being brought in from other areas to replace people who have either contracted COVID or are higher risk, so they need to be isolated. And lastly, mobile is an area where these field service solutions are very effective. So in this case, we're talking about ambulances and medevac or other mobile scenarios where you've got a technician who is certainly under a high cognitive load and under really bad bandwidth conditions potentially, you know, where they're moving and they're going through cellular networks and they may have spotty connectivity or low connectivity. They're also, it's an emergency scenario, so their cognitive load is very high, and you want to bring that down on the remote expert side so that they don't have to think at all about the technology. It just works, and they're able to get the advice and consultation they need. All right, we're going to move on to the demo portion now, and I'm going to be calling Rob Anderson, who's our senior sales engineer at Librestream here. So let me bring up On-Site Connect. And what you're seeing here now is the On-Site Connect application running on a Windows laptop. Now it also runs on various devices, iOS, Android, as well as wearables like the Vuzix M400. And you'll see that the user interface is, you know, pretty straightforward. There's a lot of deep capability here, but it's very simple to use, and you can get started immediately. Now, I've got a contacts list here, and so I'm just going to dial in Rob Anderson on his Vuzix, and he's patient side right now, and I'm sitting isolated in an office. And you'll notice here that when I call Rob, his Vuzix answers automatically. He doesn't have to take any action. Not only that, it starts streaming audio and video automatically so that he doesn't have to take any action with that either. Hey, Rob, how are you?
Hey, Tim, I'm doing well. I hope you're doing the same.
Doing well, yeah. I see your bedside there. Now, obviously, in this case, we're simulating things. I'm not a doctor, so we're not going to be going through any real procedure, and we don't have access to critical care equipment. That is more important to be in hospitals. So we're just using a CPR dummy here and a CPAP machine, but that gives us enough to work with to demonstrate the type of procedures and how they can be helped remotely. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to remotely control Rob's camera here. And this is great because, like we said, we don't want Rob to be worrying about anything. And yet I may need to get a better view of the scene. So I'm going to zoom out here. Now I have a better view of the entire scene here. And then I can zoom in a little bit to get a little bit closer. And then I can also telestrate. So this is a great way of collaborating and showing him what I want him to focus on. So Rob, you see this outlet tube here coming from the machine? Yeah, go ahead and grab that. And now I can easily erase that telestration so it's not distracting. And remember, this is all remote from my side. Rob doesn't have to do anything. So if you see that outlet, Rob, go ahead and pick up the inlet, which is the other side of the headset there on the desktop. Yeah, that's right. Go ahead and pick that up. And go ahead and plug that in. It should be seated
Just like
nicely.
this?
Yeah, just like that. You can probably hear it click.
Yeah.
Now, while we're doing this procedure, if we have any issues, I can always call in another expert who could be in my facility or anywhere in the world, frankly. And I can do that for people who already have Librestream licenses, or if we just want to do an ad hoc call, I can send them a text or a message, an email message. Then they click on that and they automatically join. I don't need to do that for this call, but I could if I wanted to. So you notice here that we've got pretty good bandwidth, but this little bandwidth alarm keeps coming on intermittently, and that means I'm having some bandwidth issues. So what I can do actually is, in that case, I can go here and I can change my streaming profile, and this controls how efficient the audio and video is being compressed and sent over the network. I'm going to change it to an extreme low setting. Now, I wouldn't normally want to do this. I'd want to use as much bandwidth as I can, but let's say you're in a scenario where you have other machinery that's sending information over the internet. Maybe it's IoT information or other audio video feeds. And you want to limit the amount of bandwidth that On-Site Connect is using to only what you need, so you can allow those other uses to take up the bandwidth. In this case, we're running only at 30 kilobits per second. That's not kilobytes, that's kilobits. So that's 1/8 of a kilobyte. That's really low bandwidth. And yet you can see here still that we've got a good audio, dual audio channel. And you know, it's a low frame rate and it's low resolution, but you can still make out what's happening there. But when you're in these low bandwidth situations, what's very useful about Librestream On-Site Connect is that you can collaborate still through higher resolution still images. So Rob, go ahead and pick up the nose piece that's on the counter there for me. Yeah, that one right there. Yeah, just hold it up to the camera for me. It's kind of hard to see because it's such low bandwidth. You can put down that other part and just hold the nose piece. You can see there's some markings on there, but I cannot read what those are under this condition. Now, what I can also do is I can actually turn on Rob's light on his Vuzix, which is pretty handy. Let's say you're in a low light condition. Maybe it's nighttime in the patient's room and you don't want to turn the light on and disturb them, but you need to see well. So I just remotely turned on that light. And now I'm going to go in and I'm actually going to take a still image of what Rob is seeing there. And this is going to automatically transmit that image from his Vuzix over to my screen so that I can see it locally here. We're in a low bandwidth condition here, so it's going to take a second to transmit. But what you'll see here is that this is a really good quality still image, and it allows me to collaborate kind of out of band of the video in a way that will allow us to see detail and continue our collaboration even under these low bandwidth conditions. And so now you're going to see here, this is their high-res image. Oh yeah, okay, see Rob, now I can see this has a left and right marking on it. I can still see the video in the lower corner here. And so Rob, this portion here, this is the inlet. So you're going to connect that to the other side of the tube, the side that's connected to the headset. So go ahead and do that. And I'm going to switch back to video here.
All right, let's see.
Now, while he's doing that, let me mention something that's super important regarding security. You see that this shield is activated in the upper right of On-Site Connect. Now that means that the policy settings for On-Site Connect in this situation are such that you cannot save or record any audio, video, or images, or even metadata for that matter. So this is totally secure and meets HIPAA compliance in this scenario. All right, so I see you have that the nose piece connected. Is that correct?
That's correct. It's intact.
All right, I'm going to actually change to higher bandwidth here. I'm going to go up to high bandwidth just so we can see a little bit better.
I see the right nostril input and the left nostril input right here.
Right, yeah, so you're going to delicately put those over the nostrils, but keep in mind that those left and right labels are from the patient's perspective, not yours.
Okay, understood.
Yeah, gently put it on there and then make sure the hose isn't kinked. And then gently put the strap there behind the head. Make sure it's tight enough to hold it in place, but not too tight. That's going to be on for a while.
It looks like it's fitting on pretty nicely here.
Okay, great. I'm going to go ahead and zoom back so we can see the full scene here. Okay, perfect. All right, well, it looks like you're set. So we're done with this call. If you need me, just give me a call back, or I can certainly call you back, all right?
Fantastic. Thanks so much for your assistance, Tim. I think this is going to work out well for the patient.
Absolutely. Thank you. Bye. All right, so I've just hung up with Rob now, and I believe there are some questions that have appeared in the meeting, 7 questions. So we're going to go through and answer those, and I'm going to hand it back to Matt. Thanks very much, Rob.
Hey, Tim and Rob, thanks so much for the demo. You know, it's interesting to see the low bandwidth to be able to take a high-res photo and share that. You know, sometimes network connectivity is a challenge, and you're unable to see exactly what you need to see. But you're able to still grab a high-res photo, share it. That's pretty powerful. So what's the minimum bandwidth that the solution can support?
So we, in some cases, can go down to 10 kilobits per second, which is really incredible. At that bandwidth, you're really not collaborating through video, but the audio channel remains, the dual audio channel remains really clear. But you saw even at 30 kilobits, which is extremely low, it was entirely possible to collaborate.
So that 30 kilobits is like the speed I used to connect to AOL back in the day.
Yeah, that was even before 56K. I mean, that's amazing.
Wow. So you mentioned you showed the security feature. So is this solution HIPAA approved, or what's required there?
So HIPAA approval or compliance is really determined by the use case for any type of scenario. So in this case, we had it set so that you could not record audio or video or take still images. You saw that we shared a still image. That doesn't mean we saved anything. That was transmission cache, and as soon as we're done sharing that, it disappears. It's not saved on any device or on the network. So in this case, absolutely, it's HIPAA compliant. Also, the on-site platform is ISO 27001 and 27018 compliant, which covers a lot of the same security and privacy regulations as HIPAA. So we're very confident in that HIPAA compliance in these scenarios.
So there's a number of different kind of options out there. There's Zoom, there's those type of things. What do you say is the difference between this platform and those from a video conferencing solutions?
So it's really a matter of being purpose built. Solutions like Zoom and Teams and WebEx, great for online meetings and that type of collaboration where you're looking at each other's faces and maybe sharing some documents. Field service solutions like on-site Connect are really purpose-built for field scenarios, and they make see what I see capability, the collaboration tools, the ability to easily dial in other people ad hoc who may or may not be within your organization, the robustness of the bandwidth scaling, and the security are really paramount and very important to these scenarios. I mean, if you try to do a Zoom call on a 30 kilobit connection, you can guess what's going to happen, right? You can do that all day long on Site Connect.
Tim, what are the resolution limits? I mean, how high quality can you go with the software here?
Well, so 1080p is our high res setting, which gives you a great amount of detail. Rob, you may want to comment. Do we have a profile that goes higher than 1080p?
We sure do. Some of our clients that actually build 5G network equipment actually prefer a setting that goes higher than 1080p, increases the frame rates. So it's closer to a 4K resolution if you think about it. So we can work with an extremely phenomenal bandwidth. We start to see 5G and private LTE networks come into play. So we're able to actually gear towards an incredibly high bandwidth, not just extremely low.
So Rob, you're saying since the M400 can support 4K video, we could actually match that on the Librestream software and the network if it supported it.
That's correct. If you have the network to handle it, then that would be a perfect match for that type of situation.
And that's pretty much broadcast quality video.
That's correct.
Wow, that's impressive. So Tim, you talked about Zoom, but Zoom can handle more than one expert. What is on-site support? What does your platform support as far as the number of folks? Can you have more than one expert join a call?
Yeah, it's pretty typical for more than one person to join the call. The maximum is really based on network conditions and server conditions, but you can have anywhere from a handful of people up to 30, 40 people on a call, even more in some instances.
So some key differences to think about when you compare like a Zoom or Teams, FaceTime, some of these other platforms that are server based. They're great tools. We enjoy them as well. We leverage Teams internally, but they're different tools. We actually work with basically device to device, which is great for some of our clientele that we have in the defense sector for security reasons. And this is how we're also be able to work with extremely low bandwidths. So there's not actually a server involved here to complete a call. So it's basically a SIP address to SIP address, device to device. So it's a very unique solution.
So Rob, one thing I think that you guys didn't touch on. So let's say like we're challenged and we're in a rush. Could you share like a tutorial video or an image to the frontline worker through the software?
We sure can.
So that means if there was a certain procedure that was pre-recorded and you were trying to explain it to them, they're having trouble, you could send them the video and they'd be able to watch it right on the glasses.
That's correct. We will be able to share with all participants on the call.
That's a pretty cool feature. All right, I think there's a few others here, and then I'm going to pass it along to Ed to go through some of the additional Q&A. So Tim, you went over a telehealth kit. What's in that kit, and what does that look like for pricing, or how do folks think about that?
Sure. Well, the goal here with a telemedicine or a telehealth offering is to make something that's super quick to deploy and easy to operate. So everything is pre-configured. The kit would come with Vuzix M400 and the appropriate accessories for mounting. Come with a Windows tablet, and it comes with 2 on-site Connect licenses that are pre-configured, preloaded into the devices, such that you just have to take them out of the case, make sure they're charged, turn them on, and call. That's all you got to do. No logins, nothing. Like you saw in the demo, the Vuzix is pre-configured to auto answer, so you just select the Vuzix from your address book, call them, and you're good to go. Now, you still need to pair the devices with your local Wi-Fi, but if you buy the MiFi option, which is a hotspot, mobile hotspot, as part of the kit, then everything is prepared, so all you got to do is turn it on and it works. As far as pricing goes, it depends on the configuration, the number of licenses you want, the number of kits. And so if you'd like that information, please just get in contact with us after the call, and we'd be happy to go through that with you.
Awesome. That's great. Ed, I'm going to pass the baton over to you, and if you want to walk through some of the Q&A, and we'll answer the best we can.
Sounds good, Matt. Okay, I'll just kind of run through these as I see them here. This looks like a Librestream question. Can the software adjust on the fly to changing bandwidth conditions? For instance, starting high and automatically go or low if you need lower bandwidth?
Rob, you want to answer that one?
Yes, so the answer is no, it does not. And we do that on purpose because we want you to be able to control the bandwidth yourself. Because variations with bandwidth can happen. The auto adjustment there is sometimes doesn't always work that well. So we'd like for folks, particularly PC users that may be hosting the call, to be administering the bandwidth, kind of being cognizant of the bandwidth, and be able to have full control of the bandwidth at their discretion.
Okay, and again, these look like they're for Librestream predominantly. And let me paraphrase this a little bit. One listener, I assume here, is looking for a list of countries that you're available in.
It's really worldwide.
And Ed, I can share. Let me share the Vuzix list here. Give me one sec. So if you were to go to the Vuzix website, so we have a availability list here under legal. So you can see our country list. This is pretty up to date, but it lists the different products and the countries that we are approved to ship in. And we try to keep this pretty, within 24, 40 hours, we try to update this list.
That's great, Matt. Since you did a good job there, I'll give you one more. One listener would like to know the difference between the Vuzix M400 and our competitor, RealWear HMT1. And is there any feedback that you have, Matt, that you can share?
Yeah, I think that, I think the biggest difference you're going to notice is weight. The RealWear device is measured in pounds. The Vuzix stuff is in ounces. So first and foremost, I think that would be some of the biggest differences is just the sheer size of it. And I think the other thing, Vuzix is doing is, we're listening to our customers. So we have the option here shortly of you can use all voice. A lot of applications, even Librestream, it's voice driven. So I know the RealWear product is a voice driven product. We support voice as well. We also have buttons. We have a touchpad. So we not only have the voice, but also if you want to use buttons, we do support that as well. Another really big difference, I think, is the OLED display. The contrast ratio on this it's like watching, like a Blu-ray movie on the glasses. And I think that's much different than the display on the RealWear device. So, we show this at trade shows, we show this to customers, we get the wow when they first put that thing on. And I think that's a real first impression, and that's a big difference between what you see with the Vuzix M400 and our competitor device. I think and I think the other thing too is a wearability head. If you're going to put 2 cans of Campbell's soup on your head, it's going to be heavy. With the Vuzix device, it's very lightweight in that regard, but we're also very durable. I think some people might think it's small, it can't take a licking, but it is IP67 rated. We've put this underwater live on a call, and it kept running. It didn't drop the call. We've dropped this on concrete from 2 feet. We have this thing going into places where the human body can only be out there for 10, 15 minutes because it's so hot. It still performs. So the robustness of the device, because it is very small compared to what's out there in the market. Some people may take that for granted, but that's a big feature and a big important part of the M400.
That's great, Matt. And I'd just like to add that we have announced the M4000, which will ship later this year, which will include a waveguide for complete see-through. So let me go back to Librestream. This appears to be directed at you. Can you provide us with any examples of healthcare organizations that are piloting or currently using the glasses, Vuzix glasses, with the SaaS model?
So the telehealth space is not one that Librestream has traditionally targeted as a vertical. Traditionally, we've been very heavy in the industrial and commercial space. So we're just starting to work with healthcare organizations and hospitals, doing some pilots. I can't announce which ones because it's confidential at this point. But this is really the first offering that is targeted at the telehealth space.
Okay, let's see what else we have here. Hardware question. Is there any plan to put eSIM LTE capabilities into the M400, Matt?
Yeah, I think if you look at connectivity, we work with a number of wireless operators. That's always something that we're considering. What's the best way? If I asked Charlie and Tim, I think connectivity in the field is always a challenge, and that's one reason why their solution is an outstanding one, because it runs over that low bandwidth. But we're definitely something that Vuzix is evaluating. And the pre-kitted MiFi option, where you have the glasses hooked up to the hotspot, that out of the box just gives you service. I think that's a great solution. And I think a lot of these things, especially the Librestream, it runs well over 4G as well. So even though it may not have a 5G or even a radio in there for cellular, it does work very well over 4G LTE signals.
Okay, and another hardware question, and again, let me paraphrase this, but is there any testing or comments you can make about cleaning the device using various chemicals to make sure the device is disinfected properly?
Yeah, so we've advised our customers really based on the CDC guidelines. So if you look at, Clorox wipes, many of those wipes that are being recommended work great. The plastics on the M400, they're robust enough to support those type of wipes. So, we're recommending kind of following the CDC guidelines. So Clorox wipes and those type of things work very well with our hardware.
Okay, another hardware question. Can you integrate 4G into the next device? That's a forward-looking one, Matt.
Yeah, no, again, I think where it makes sense and there's a market, we definitely have a number of partners that we could work with around that. So, I think it would certainly help the solution, help the market, and it's something we're looking at for sure. We can't tell you when, can't tell you kind of if, but it's certainly something that's on our minds and something that we're working on for sure.
Yeah, I'm looking at the list, Matt. I think we did cover a lot here. Are there any that you see that you'd like to pose?
And Tim, I'll open this up to you guys too. If there's anything that you think is relevant or something we haven't covered, feel free to chime in. I'm just going to go through the remaining questions here. Oh, Tim, so as far as getting started with a POC, would it be going through to your website, the contact Librestream? Is that the best way to get in touch with your team?
Yeah, at this point, it would be to contact us directly through the website. In the near term, we'll have a form up, but for now, just contact us through there. And like I mentioned before, this is a new offering from us. We want to work very closely with initial customers and partners.
And then as far as pricing goes, Tim, it's kind of a volume driven. So there's a kind of a base price per license. And as you scale, there's, a discounts applied. Would that be the right way to look at it from an organizational perspective?
Yeah, I see there are a couple of questions about pricing model and price. So it's sold as a kit at this point because we want to make it something that's really simple to deploy and use. So you've got an upfront initial cost, which is the hardware and the first year of the software licenses. Software being the on-site Connect SaaS software. And then that renews on an annual basis. And as Matt said, its pricing is really based on volume, term commitment, and various other options. We're happy to discuss that with you directly.
What about supporting field ambulances? Do you think this is something that could be used there? Is there any
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Because because the robustness of the connection is something we're very focused on. I would say it's absolutely the best product to use in a mobile scenario where you've got challenges, intermittent bandwidth and low bandwidth.
And I don't think we went over this enough, but you guys have done a lot of work on integrating voice and the voice control as part of this. If you think about the folks that are going to be using this, the ability to leave your hands by your side and focus on the task at hand, having that voice control, I think, is a key part. Also, the auto answer feature that you can call and it'll auto answer and go right into the call. I mean, these are things that make this very easy to use and transition into the field.
Yeah, absolutely. As I said a couple of times, the idea around this telehealth kit is that it should be as easy to deploy as possible and have absolutely the lowest cognitive load on the frontline worker possible, so that they don't have to think about anything. They can focus on their job and let the remote expert really run things.
So I think there might be a question about the device. So the M400, think of this as a Android computer, except in a wearable format. So if you have Android applications, many of those will run. We've seen some instances where maybe the interface, so the interaction between the human and the glasses, you might have to do some modifications, because if you think of a phone has a touch screen, this has a touch pad. So there are some potential things that may have to be tweaked from a developer side, but many existing Android applications will run on the hardware, but there might be some things that you need to adjust. As far as audio on the M400, there's 3 noise canceling mics. There's also there's speakers built into the device. So there's audio that's, that comes right from the device itself. I would say it's similar to a phone, but it's, like having a phone on speaker. You're able to get high quality audio there, and then the noise canceling mics allow this to work in loud environments as well. So it's really designed much like a phone, where if you're talking and the noise cancellation will kind of mute the background. You're seeing that same type of performance with the M400.
Yeah, and it should be noted that in some of these telemedicine cases or telehealth cases, when someone's wearing the PPE, there may be other mounting options that you want, which would mean you'd need a Bluetooth device paired for audio with the Vuzix headset. So that's entirely possible. Matt, if I can, let me answer a couple of questions here that are asking for some clarification on what you get with the Vuzix M400 as opposed to what you get through On-Site Connect. So I just want to clear that up. What you were seeing in the demo was the interface for the Windows client for On-Site Connect. We weren't showing you what Rob was actually seeing as his user interface. But if we had, what you'd have seen is that the on-site software is also running on the Vuzix, and the user interface on his side is more of a simplified version of what you were seeing on my side from the PC. And we have that in a mode that we call field mode, where the menu system is more simplified to allow the remote expert really to guide everything. But he'd still be seeing his live video that he's gathering from the camera on the Vuzix. He'd be seeing the high-res still images, seeing all of the telestration that I was doing on his screen, so he can see exactly what I'm pointing to. So it's a very easy way to collaborate between the two of us.
So Tim, there's a question about external cameras. Is there any other external cameras that would work with your software and the glasses?
Absolutely. Librestream has a product called the Cube, which is an external ruggedized camera that also comes in an intrinsically safe version, explosion proof for certain environments. And you pair that directly with the Vuzix or with whatever device you're running Connect on. And that allows you to switch between the cameras ad hoc whenever you want to. The camera, you can also remotely control the light on the camera, the zoom, and the laser pointer on the camera. The camera also has a IR thermal mode, which is really relevant to this day and age where there's a need for temperature screenings in industrial and commercial environments. So you can put that into thermal mode and actually get relative temperature readings interpreted through colors on the screen in On-Site Connect. And the neat thing about that is you can also monitor, bring in other experts to give advice on temperature readings, and also archive and audit those screenings as well. In fact, Matt, if we have time and if you want, I could bring up a couple slides about that.
Yeah, why don't we, I mean, it's a similar topic, although this is not like a medical device, but I think it'd be great.
Okay. So what you're seeing here is a use case really in a security screening checkpoint. And what we have is a security personnel who's somewhat isolated from the screening area. Maybe he's behind glass or in a different office, but he's remotely controlling and seeing the Cube camera here on the left. And that camera is pointed at an individual at the screening checkpoint, as well as what we call a thermal reference target device. And that's a known temperature device, so that the security personnel can look at that device and ascertain what in the scene is actually a higher temperature by degrees than the reference device. So here you see the areas of the face, particularly the eye sockets, which is where you want to take the reading, are red as opposed to the greenish yellow target device. And so you can then identify people for a secondary screening and either send them to an external facility, or maybe you have a secondary screening set up in your facility. It's a way to quickly screen people in a non-invasive way where you can stay away from the person and get enough information to know if that person needs a secondary screening. The second scenario here is when you don't have a target thermal device and you've got instead multiple people in the scene. Now, obviously, this isn't optimal because we're trying to distance people at least 6 feet apart. But in cases where that can't be done, you can use various individuals as references. And you can see here that the woman in the middle, her temperature is elevated in comparison. It's also important to note that this is the strength of IR cameras and technology is really in relative readings of temperature and not absolute readings. Relative readings are much more accurate than absolute readings, and they don't throw the types of false positives that absolute readings will show. Here we're seeing within OnSite Connect that you could actually, if you have the correct security policies and privacy policies in place, you could actually capture the screenings to be audited or archived. You can also add metadata here, including telestration to notate which parts of the image are more important, or video for that matter, and add your own metadata that's searchable within the knowledge base after the fact.
Tim, can you share what type of precision you're seeing on the relative temperature side?
Yeah, that's 0.1 degrees Celsius. Whereas the absolute measurements in our FLIR sensor, as well as most others, is around 5 degrees Celsius. So there's a huge difference between the accuracy of absolute and relative temperature. And that's why having a reference thermal device as a known temperature is really important, because then you can say, well, that reference we know is at 35 degrees Celsius, and now we know that this step up in color is 0.6 degrees higher, and the next one is 1.2 degree higher, and so forth. All right, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and we can go on to the next question, if there are any. Let me answer, if I may, or actually throw one over to Rob to answer regarding the peer-to-peer connection and whether that is true of multi-party calls as well. Rob, can you answer that?
Absolutely. I wanted to comment on that question as well. So with an on-site connect call, we can hold up to 20 participants, and that would be held as a host from a PC to answer the call. So it's not just one-to-one, it is one too many. And that's a secure connection running from SIP to SIP. And that's a unique factor of our software. It's all software based. It's not web browser based. And it's a difference where our security is incredibly intense. So a lot of different platforms that you see these days, folks are kind of hacking their way into different platforms and things like that. Well, that's something that just doesn't occur with our systems. Yeah, we're just one to many. We can hold up to 20 participants in a call.
I think that's it for the Q&A, folks. I appreciate the Librestream team coming on here and helping demonstrate their platform on the Vuzix M400. Really looking forward to working with you guys on the telemedicine and all these other opportunities that keep coming in. So I just want to say thank you to your team for joining us. And also thank you everybody for joining us online. Our contact information is here. I think you might see some follow-up from Vuzix and Librestream. We'd be happy to work with your organizations and get you started and up and running.
Thanks, Matt. And I'd like to thank everybody for attending as well, and just emphasize that if you do have questions that weren't answered here, because I know there were a few, please reach out to us directly. We're happy to answer any questions you have.
So thank you, everybody. So we're going to be putting up a replay here on our website over the next few days. So if you enjoyed it, you want to share it with somebody else, we'll have a replay available. Just have to log in, and you'll get access to that here over the next few days. So just check on our website under news, webinars, and we'll have that link up here over the next few days. Thank you.